Thanks, Luke. And thank you, everyone, for being here. As you probably heard from the rest of the keynote, our customers are working in a world where data, analytics, and AI boundaries are blurring, and easily working with data and gaining rapid insights from data is crucial. And this means you need all of your data easily accessible to all of your teams, whether they are data engineers doing big data processing, an analyst doing high-performance SQL analytics, a data scientist who's building the next big foundational model, or an app developer who's building that next great generative AI experience. We saw an enormous opportunity to harness the convergence of big data processing, analytics, machine learning, and AI to create a new and unified experience that accelerates your workflows and enhances collaboration. Bringing together fast SQL data analytics and big data processing on data lakes and data warehouses, also accelerating model training on Amazon SageMaker AI, and sparking new generative AI-powered experiences on Amazon Bedrock. All of these coming together to streamline your analytics and ML workflows. And with AWS, as you heard earlier from Luke, you find a comprehensive, integrated set of foundational data storage, analytics, governance, and AI services, all well known for their reliability, scale, and performance. And our customers are saying that they appreciate the comprehensive set of tools that AWS offers because it enables them to build end-to-end flows that are optimized for their diverse workloads, doing so at the lowest cost while still delivering high performance. But they're also asking AWS to simplify those experiences and can simplify the consumption of these rich set of services with unified experiences that work across the portfolio without compromising those rich capabilities. And so we've taken Amazon SageMaker, a service used by hundreds of thousands of customers to build and train models, including LLMs that are used in generative AI products, and combined it with our most comprehensive set of data processing, analytics, governance, and Gen AI development services, such as Bedrock, EMR, Glue, Athena, Data Zone, Managed Airflow, and Lake Formation, to deliver the next generation of Amazon SageMaker, your center for data, analytics, and AI workloads. With the next generation of Amazon SageMaker, you have a unified platform across data, analytics, and AI. You can collaborate and build faster from a unified studio, using familiar AWS tools for model development, generative AI, data processing, and SQL analytics, accelerated by Amazon Q Developer. You can reduce data silos with an open lakehouse. You can now access all of your data, whether it's stored in data lakes, data warehouses, or third-party and federated data sources such as on-prem databases. And governance is built in end-to-end throughout the experience to enable self-service discovery of your data, as well as meeting enterprise security needs. The next generation of Amazon SageMaker is a platform that brings together all of your favorite services and tools into a unified experience. Today, we're going to talk about 3 major areas of the platform and share more about how this experience can drive greater collaboration on data and AI projects. The first layer of the next generation Amazon SageMaker platform is our new unified development experience. We call it Amazon SageMaker Unified Studio. The Unified Studio launched in preview at re:Invent as an integrated experience for data preparation, data analytics, model building, and generative AI app development, unifying tools you use every day, such as notebooks and query editors across services. And it integrates seamlessly with those existing services, using the actual underlying services as part of the experience, with plans to expand support for search, streaming, and BI workloads later this year. Users get started in the Unified Studio by logging in through a simplified single sign-on experience that supports Identity Center, SAML, and IAM users. They can also, once they log in, they start out on their home page, which gives them quick access to commonly used tools. They can also see things like notifications and other things that are personalized to their user experience. All of the available tools, including a lot of the existing tools from SageMaker AI and Bedrock, are available in the main navigation bar. And this also includes tools that are used for analytics, data processing, and AI, such as Jupyter Notebooks and a query editor. Within the Unified Studio, it's all centered around the concept of projects. Projects are where teams collaborate. They share code backed by a Git repository. They can also include your own Git repositories in use elsewhere in your business. They can also share data that they need to work with, such as data lake tables and data warehouse tables. They can share other types of data products as well, like SageMaker models, as well as Bedrock apps. They can even share compute that they use day to day, such as an EMR cluster or a Redshift serverless endpoint that runs all of their data processing, analytics, and AI workloads. We've also brought together key tools within the experience. Customers today are familiar with the SQL query editor in Athena and Redshift. They're probably also familiar with the Jupyter Notebook experience within Glue Studio, EMR Studio, and the existing SageMaker Studio. All of these tools are now unified as part of the Amazon SageMaker Unified Studio. And you have one consistent notebook experience and one consistent query editor experience that use and that are spanning across all the different services and tools. And of course, we want to be able to make it easier for our customers. And so all of these jobs to be done can now be accelerated by Amazon Q Developer. You can speed up AI development with the Amazon Q Developer features that are integrated in each tool that is part of the Amazon SageMaker Unified Studio, helping you discover data through natural language, build and train models through natural language, generate SQL queries, all of this inside the Unified Studio, integrated into your experience right where you are. And then the next capability of the next generation SageMaker platform is all the governance capabilities that are built in. So they cover all types of data and AI use cases, and they're integrated into the platform at every turn, providing a performant, open, and secure data foundation powered by the new SageMaker catalog, which is built on the governance capabilities of Amazon Data Zone. Within the SageMaker catalog, it provides an organizational-wide business catalog integrated directly into the Unified Studio. This enables sharing of all types of data products, such as data lake tables and data warehouse tables, as well as models trained by in Amazon SageMaker, and even generative AI apps built using Bedrock. All of these are available and shareable across the organization. And we continue to enable more and more types of data and compute products shareable in the catalog. And these are all part of the user experience doing your day-to-day job in data processing, analytics, and AI. The SageMaker catalog enables secure discovery and access approved data to these data and models using semantic search, with generative AI creating the metadata that's used in the catalog. Users can also use a Q assistant built into the studio to ask for and find data sets using natural language. Once the users find a data set they want, or they want to be able to share a data set across the organization, they can share and collaborate on data through publishing and subscription workflows. Again, all built within the Unified Studio. They can also build trust throughout their organization with data quality monitoring and automation, as well as sensitive data detection and ML and data lineage, available in the SageMaker catalog. The data lineage capabilities captures and visualizes the transformations of data as they move through these workflows, providing a view into the data movement from source all the way to consumption. Users can visualize the lineage at any point in time and compare transformations across an asset or job's history. This historical lineage provides a deeper understanding of how the data has evolved, and also is essential for troubleshooting, auditing, and validating the integrity of data assets. The final capability of the next generation of the SageMaker platform is the new Amazon SageMaker Lakehouse. The SageMaker Lakehouse supports data lake tables together with high-performance warehouse tables in Redshift, as well as easy access to federated data sources, all through a single unified service access layer with an open API. The SageMaker Lakehouse unifies all of your data across multiple data sources for analytics and AI, with allowing access to a single copy of the data through a single API endpoint, regardless of how, where the data is stored. With the SageMaker Lakehouse, your data in S3 and Redshift is unified through this single interface. The Lakehouse is powered by the AWS Glue data catalog and Lake Formation, providing years of operational excellence and scaling to power your data workloads. We've also introduced the concept of zero ETL, which simplified data movement to the warehouse within seconds of it being written into a transactional system to power real-time analytics. We started out bringing the data from Aurora into Redshift and quickly expanded to more data sources such as DynamoDB and RDS. We're also adding more and more zero ETL sources every year. The next part is making your data available to your analytics, machine learning, and AI engines. And so the SageMaker Lakehouse does this by embracing open standards and supporting the Apache Iceberg REST Catalog API. Iceberg is a widely adopted open table format that offers a performant concurrent access with ACID transaction semantics. Iceberg is also an API that allows for a common way to read and write data against the open source Iceberg table format, which means you are empowered to bring your existing applications and anything that supports Apache Iceberg, any tool or engine that can talk to these APIs, whether first-party services like Redshift, EMR, or Bedrock, as well as third-party engines. All can tap into the same data through this Iceberg-compliant API. From within Unified Studio, customers can also access all of their data in the Lakehouse and the data brought in through the Glue Data Catalog or Redshift Catalog through zero ETL integrations, as well as through federated data sources, all appearing together in the interface in the Unified Catalog and accessible through the tools such as the Query Editor and the Notebook experience. This makes it very convenient to conduct Spark and SQL analytics, machine learning, and generative AI all through those same data sources that are shared across the team and across your company. And with zero ETL, we're bringing transactional data and analytics together faster and more easily. So in addition to the things I mentioned earlier around supports for Aurora MySQL data, Aurora PostgreSQL data, as well as RDS for MySQL and Dynamo, we've also recently extended zero ETL sources to include 8 additional SaaS applications and to continue to expand the list, such as SAP, ServiceNow, Salesforce, and others. And beyond zero ETL, we've also enhanced the most critical parts of the data storage stack to better support transactional workloads. So we've also added support for S3 table buckets to store tabular data at scale. So now when you store your Iceberg data in an S3 table bucket, S3 does all the work for you. We handle the table maintenance activities like compaction, snapshot management, and unreferenced file removal to continuously optimize the query performance and cost, even as the data lake scales. You can also set up things such that any new table added into an S3 table bucket can be automatically registered in the SageMaker Lakehouse, making it immediately available to the rest of your team as part of the Unified Studio. With S3 tables, we have completely reinvented object storage for the modern data lake world, with Iceberg at the center delivering storage that is automatically managed and highly performant. With the next generation of Amazon SageMaker, each team can focus on what's important, driving innovation, delivering incredible experiences, and making data-driven decisions that move the business forward. This mission is not about technology. It's about empowering people and making things easier and unlocking the full potential and turning data into a strategic asset that fuels innovation. And we're also laying the groundwork for new innovations to take flight. I want to take a moment to personally thank everyone for being here, all of our partners and our teams for all of their hard work to be able to drive this exciting transformation forward. I also look forward to everything that we'll talk about today, all the things we'll learn, and all the collaboration as we look into the future. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Luke. Thanks a lot, Luke, for that enlightening keynote. I believe we managed to gather some pertinent data points from the presentation. So if that's the tone, then I'd like to also urge all of you to keep your thoughts coming using the hashtag AWS AI Conclave Bengaluru. Keep your thoughts coming across social media. All that you get to experience here, keep those thoughts coming. With that, let's now shift the gears and let's move ahead, because up next it's time to chart out the data and generative AI-driven transformation in India. And we'll do that by welcoming on stage Vasant Rao, Managing Director, IDC India. Let's have a huge round of cheer, everyone. Please help me welcome on stage Vasant Rao.
Very good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be back here at the AWS AI Conclave, which seems to be getting bigger and better every year. So kudos, first of all, to the organizers for pulling off something so good and so grand every year. Of course, it's always at scale at AWS. And thank you very much for having IDC come here and to share our views on our perspectives in this exciting world of data and Gen AI. As all of you know, the last couple of years has been very, very fascinating from a technology standpoint, especially with Gen AI catching the fancy of almost every one of us. As individuals, today, I think if you look at your phone, almost all of us have a AI-powered app on our phones. Many of us are now using AI-powered search engines in addition to the traditional search engines that we use in our day-to-day lives. A lot of us are using digital assistants in our day-to-day work as well. And presentations like these also honestly have become a lot easier today because of Gen AI. Not to mention that school homework has also become a lot easier, which is not always great news. So as individuals, we've all embraced Gen AI significantly, and so have governments, by the way. There are many instances, as you all know, of AI being used to predict floods, for instance, or to identify ocean litter in very remote parts of the ocean so that environmental cleanups operations can happen more efficiently. And in fact, even at the Mahakumbh, which is currently going on, 10% of the cameras there are AI-enabled, I'm told. And what they are doing is they are really measuring the density of people per square meter. And they are capturing the movement of people. They are looking at whether people are jumping over barricades, and whether there are too many people gathering at one particular area in the Mahakumbh. And then the messages are being sent to the control center, and then volunteers are then asked to then disperse people in different directions so that you can avoid a potential stampede. Now, of course, this is on an experimental basis, but obviously it showcases the kind of things that can be done. And we obviously hope that it succeeded because this is what really saves lives. But then, not just individuals and governments, enterprises also have done a lot of interesting things. But there are a couple of, incidents that I'd like to highlight, which again kind of shows the kind of things that are, happening in the world. Many of you may have heard of Urbai, which is a small but very intelligent robo in a Shanghai showroom. And this happened in November 2024, where one of the robots told Urbai about the very long hours that it had to work. So obviously, it's not just us humans who are talking about work-life balance these days, 70 hours and 90 hours. But even machines did that in November of last year. And believe it or not, but Urbai actually convinced 12 other robots to put down their tools and walk away from the showroom as a mark of protest. Right? So that's the kind of thing that's happening over there. And also, we are seeing that we are pushing the boundaries on human-AI interactions as well. There's an instance in the US, one in Spain, and more than a couple in Japan, where humans have actually married AI-powered holograms and robots. Now, I am told one of those marriages didn't work out because of, outdated software. So I thought that was very interesting as well. As Harsha Bogle, who's I think going to come next, often says, it's all happening here in the field of cricket. Well, there's a lot happening in the field of technology as well at this point in time. But if you want to know why it's happening and what is likely to happen, then we have to get into the data. We have to get into the nuts and bolts because that's where the stories are. That's where you really understand what's happening in, and that's where I'm going to now get into. So let me just move into that. So first of all, at the outset, I'd like to call out the distinction between AI and Gen AI. It's very widely used and abused, and often used interchangeably, which I personally dislike because they are two different classes of models. Artificial intelligence, as you know, is trying to mimic real intelligence with the use of NLP models, machine learning models, and so on, and helps us in decision making. Gen AI, as the name suggests, is generative AI. It generates something new, whether it's audio, video, text, whatever it may be. So you can give it a one-page summary idea, and it can create a 200-page book, or you can give it a 200-page book, and it will create a one-page summary gist of what that book is all about. So that's Gen AI. Now, classical AI has been around for decades in academia as well as in industry. And it has been used for risk prediction, anomaly detection, to understand fraudulent transactions or next best offers to customers, etc. In fact, if you look at the data that I'm showing up here, 74% of Indian enterprises say that they are already using AI. So it's very well entrenched at this point in time. And the 90% of the companies that do not use AI currently are saying that in the next 12 to 24 months, they will be using AI. So well entrenched, not going anywhere, and it's something that you'll only see accelerate even more. So, and that acceleration is what you will see in the numbers, which is what I'm showing in the next slide now, where we expect by 2028, the AI spend is going to be around $9.2 billion. Now, a lot of it is powered by GenAI, and I'll get to that soon, but as you can see, there's a pretty strong CAGR that we are expecting in the market, and different categories of technology, whether it's hardware, software, services, all of that will obviously be positively impacted. Highest rate of growth on software, then services, and then hardware. The interesting thing to note here is a lot of this seems to be very tightly integrated with the growth of the public cloud as well, right? A very significant part, in fact, 85% of all the work that's happening on AI is actually happening on the public cloud at the back end. So that I think is very interesting, and it's also because the public cloud enables very faster transformations on your data. You can experiment quickly. There is a whole marketplace. You can look at libraries of models. You can fail fast, so to speak. So the public cloud lends itself very well for AI and GenAI use cases as well. Now, let's come to GenAI. GenAI, of course, is more recent in terms of actual practical usage. So GenAI adoption is more work in progress as against traditional AI. And if you see the data that I'm sharing over here, worldwide, of course, many companies have already put GenAI into production, and many of them have invested money so that it is likely to go into production in the next 12 months or so. In India, which is the one towards the right, I think we've been a lot more cautious and pragmatic. And I would say pragmatic because I think it's the right way to go about it, because there are a lot of things to work on, right? There's the data readiness. Once it's ready, data trust on your data, and then the privacy of that data. Then there is compute, there is infrastructure, there's skills. There's just so many things to take care of. So it's better to go cautious and do it right. But even in that, if you see the number of companies which said that I'm not doing anything with GenAI, at the start of 2024 was 30%. That has dropped to 12% as we stand now. Number of companies who are saying that they are doing POCs on GenAI moved from 46 to 62%. And there was absolutely no company in India which said that I have put GenAI into production at the start of 2024. Today, 10% of companies say that they've already done so. So we are on the right path and moving cautiously, which I think, like I said, is the right thing to do. So with that trend in GenAI adoption, what we are now seeing is that that optimism is going to translate into dollars as well. In our expectation, GenAI spend on software, hardware, services would be around $3.6 billion by 2028. And just for information, I've also shared how that components are going to change. So GenAI by 2028 will be around 39% of the overall AI spend in India, which is a good 3 times growth as far as the proportion goes. And I've also shared the breakup between hardware, services, and software. Now, I just want to make sure that we get the right perspective on the data. So when you look at 36% going down to 21% by 28, don't be alarmed. The reason for that is from, I would say, roughly Q3 of 2023 and then entire 2024 was the year when everyone invested very heavily into the hardware component. And I'm really talking of AI servers here. I think all of you are aware, all the hyperscalers, data centers, everyone invested significantly on AI servers. That is why you see the hardware to be the largest component. In many ways, think about it as building on the foundational layer for AI. And now that the hardware is in place, in the next couple of years, we're going to see investments into software and then the services to enable all of it. Which is why by the time you move to 2028, software is going to be the biggest component. So with hardware being at 21% doesn't mean it's shrinking. It's just that refresh cycles don't happen so often. So the hardware investment really went in at 2024. And we are going to see the rise of the AI platforms, which I'm going to talk about later, but that explains the 52% over here in 2028. So that's the way the GenAI thing works on. Now this is where it starts getting interesting. So there's a lot of optimism. There's a lot of money that's going to get into GenAI. But what are the realities on the ground from a 2024 perspective? Right. So on average, enterprises in Asia Pacific conducted 23 POCs within the enterprise, out of which 3 went into production. In India, it is 29 and 4. So now, for a casual observer, of course, this looks alarming, and you've already seen some media articles saying, "Oh, is this, Gen AI all hyped up? Is this the beginning of the end? And was it just one more technology which is just going to come and go?" I think we need to look at it from a different perspective. One, the board was breathing down the neck of every CIO and saying, "What is your Gen AI strategy? I'm reading all about it everywhere. Tell me, what are we doing? What are the POCs you're doing?" Right? So one is to be seen to be doing something. I have spoken to a lot of CIOs, and many of them told me that they were getting into Gen AI POCs more from the point of view of getting their hands dirty, understanding what is it that Gen AI takes to be successful. Where are you likely to fail? What are the skill sets I need in my team? How does my data need to be ready to make the most of Gen AI models? And how does an LLM work, for instance? So a lot of times, the objective may not have been to put into production, but the objective was to really understand how it works, build out those POCs, and then try to make the most of the Gen AI models that you're working on. So the idea was to understand how it works. And we found that around 35% of Gen AI POCs that did not go into production or were not a success primarily were driven because of data issues, so data labeling and so on and so forth. There are others like skill, infrastructure, high cost, etc., which are also equally important, but data became very, very critical. We decided to look at it the other way because this was one study, so we looked at another study and we said, okay, what are the top challenges in AI implementation? And again, the usual suspects came up: data, the third point is infrastructure, fourth is around skills. But again, the top two were data, right? So data is something that needs to be fixed if you really want to monetize on Gen AI and deliver value to your business. Now, the good news is that while the problem is acknowledged, enterprises are also trying to fix the problem. 42% of Indian enterprises tell us that data is the top priority for them for 2025. And another 21% say it is among the highest priorities. So if you add it up, nearly 2/3 of Indian enterprises are saying that they want to invest in data as one of their key priorities for the next 12 to 24 months, which I think is great news, is something that will really ensure that companies will do well. And what exactly in data are they going to work on? Well, essentially preparing data for training and tuning of models, AI models, Gen AI models, ensuring data productivity, improving data quality and governance, and so on, right? So making sure that your data is ready, and I think Sundar and the speakers before me also spoke about the same thing, about the importance of data. So that really is all about the data aspect, which I think is a very key prerequisite. The other thing that I'd like to take a step back, and the other thing I'd like to call out really is what we see as the rise of the AI platforms, which explains the previous slide that I had, which talked about the rise of AI software being so critical. So we think there will going to be a lot of AI platforms which will seamlessly integrate LLMs and classical AI models, which will bring together AI tools and applications, and the build once, deploy anywhere kind of applications will be more and more ubiquitous. We also think these platforms will have a model certification kind of a gate, and this criteria will ensure that only those which follow the responsible AI guidelines from an ethics standpoint are the ones which will be put into production. And we'll see the rise of the AI architect, because whose job will be to really focus not as much on the AI models, but on the AI system capabilities itself, because you're going to have more and more agentic workflows. So those are some of the things we will see from a AI platforms perspective. And of course, these will have the libraries, the Gen AI feature stores from where you can pull in the libraries of models and put models into production. Now, with all of this, the investments on the data and the focus towards AI platforms coming into vogue in the next couple of years, what is likely to happen? Well, I've put together a few slides on IDC's take on the next 24 to 36 months. So we believe that despite having said all this, there will be a set of companies which will not get it right. They will not invest in data as much as they should. There will be misallocation of spending. So there is a risk that up to 30% of 1,000 companies, which is Asia 1,000 companies, India is roughly 10% of that, would actually, can actually cut Gen AI investments because they may not get the right ROI. So as an AI leader, AI developer, or an AI architect in your company, you need to make sure you are in the 70%, not in the 30%. And you could do that by looking at data as a product, creating architectures with that in mind, ensuring data silos are broken, ensuring data collaboration via data exchanges. And if you do that, we strongly believe that by 2027, 50% of organizations in APJ will actually have their data ready to monetize on GenAI opportunities and deliver value to their business. And I think that is what will make sure that you're in the right path to monetize and generate value for your business. Now, once you do all this, what is the right path to impact? So we believe there are really 3 phases. The first is the productivity use case, which largely happened in 2024. I think many of you may have done it in your organizations as well, where we've kind of cracked the code as far as productivity use cases are concerned. Think of application development, testing. These were the low-hanging fruits because you didn't need to put private data of your own. You can just take an LLM and then try to do a dev and test and so on and so forth. So that will continue, not that it will not, but we think the next thing that's going to happen now is on the business use cases. So the next 12 to 24 months is all about functional use cases, where you're going to embed a lot of AI into processes. And what we are seeing early on now, when we speak to vendors, is a lot of your platform providers and product players are actually embedding AI into their products, whether it is CRM, whether it's supply chain management, or whatever it may be. And we've seen a lot of demos where they're actually embedding AI. So the services that you today consume to make sure supply chain is optimized is now being embedded into the software itself. And you're consuming it via the software, and therefore, we are likely to move towards a services as a software kind of paradigm pretty soon, right? So it's going to be a reverse of the typical software as a service. That's the direction that we are likely to move. And then over time, of course, we will move into more industry use cases where you take industry data and solve industry level problems like drug discovery. But I think I would say 2 to 3 years still down the line. So as long as you take that path, I think you will be in the right mode. I'm up on time, and I'm fortunately also on my last slide. So to sum it all up, obviously work on the data. We've spoken a lot about it. Cost predictability is critical. Many use cases failed because the cost was just too
because I also realize it's time for us to shift the gears, or I might say, shift the pace of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason being, by now you already know that the next round of conversation coming up is where we will focus on cricket's transformation through AI and data analytics. Trust me.